like we've seen the pictures now, the temporary arena for the next 4 games. I do think it's kind of fitting that it's the Winnipeg Jets going in there for game 1 at the Mullett Arena. And a
By the
lot
way,
of
the
people,
pictures weren't right.
no, they weren't. That was just the start.
They literally were just starting to put it together. Like if you've seen the shots of the final product, like it looks fine.
Fine.
Like I'm sure it's not all that different than any other visiting dressing room that they've been in.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to say. I thought in typical 2022, people like to get fake outrage. And the thing I was kind of chuckling at, I was like, okay, they're NHL players. They're not princes. Like if you can't handle a less than perfect locker room, like let's be real here. Like there's much bigger issues in the world that we have to be concerned about. Like that was not one that I think is a big deal. And if anything,
does anyone think that that's better or worse than the Nassau Coliseum from 10 years ago? Like I covered plenty of games there in that visiting locker room. The place was a dump.
oh, hey, but Frank,
Go
you
down the
back
list.
to
I mean,
a long
go back
time
like,
ago, for
and
sure.
from all the different stops that have had temporary arenas, you think the Cow Palace in San Jose was a palace? Like, I mean, that place literally stunk like horse shit. Like
Well,
quite literally.
the old corral in Calgary, like, yeah, that to me, like when you played as a kid, everybody always had one of those or two of those barns that you'd go into on the road, and you're like, oh my God, like, but that was part of it. I remember those better than, oh, this was like the nicest arena I ever played in. I don't remember any of those. I just remember the ones that were like freezing cold. There's a place called in Andrew, Alberta, or Castor, Alberta. I would put that up against the coldest arena I've ever played in my life. Like we
I
had
love
kids.
those arenas because that's how
Oh,
you know the ice is good.
well, the ice was good, but we literally had some kids I remember, and we were in probably like back then. What's that, Pee Wee? So you 13 now, so
Yeah,
you're
you
old enough
12.
to
Yeah.
remember. But we had some kids crying on the bench; their feet were so cold, right? And so they weren't playing. And like I put a toque on after the first intermission. Made your helmet bigger. I used to have those XL7s. Remember that XL7 helmet that would almost
No,
fold in? It was like an accordion. It was probably the worst helmet
this
slash
is
best
before my
helmet
time.
ever. And you had clips on the side, Frank, that you would just unclip it and you could make it bigger, really simple. And then it would clip back together. And we put a toque under our helmet. And I just remember, like, you're right, the ice was fast as anything, but I'll never forget how cold it was. Like, literally, you were freezing. It was almost like you were playing outdoors.
Perfect. I mean, look, here's the thing is even the photos that you've seen from Arizona of this new temporary space, the one that they move into in a month from now in early December is going to be up to NHL standards,
Yes.
like a regular, normal, nice visiting and home dressing room. The one the Coyotes are in for these next 4 games isn't ideal. I don't think anyone's happy about this. And I think here's the interesting part about this story, and not to belabor it too much, but I've sort of been wrestling with this myself is when you go through this process, can this story be two things at once? Can it be embarrassing that the Coyotes are playing in this arena? Yes. But can it also be cool? Yeah, I think the answer is
Yeah,
yes.
that's fair. Yes.
Because, like, here's the thing. At the end of the day, and this is the part that no one's really talking about anymore, they got kicked out of their 18,000 seat arena because they didn't pay their bills. That's really the truth of it. The Glendale literally said to them, we have this massive building that we owe a ton of debt on, and we are better off not having you for 45 games a year, 45 nights a year on our schedule.
Great.
That's literally what they said to them. So not only was it not ideal for the Coyotes, but they also didn't pay their bills. And they end up in this spot where they had to find a temporary home, and they couldn't play out the string in Glendale in a normal 18,000 seat, nice NHL arena, which if you've been there, it's plenty nice. It's just in the wrong location.
Yeah, I've been to the rink. It is a nice rink, but yeah, location, location, location for a lot of things. Any business will tell you that. You can have a really good business model. You're in the bad spot, it ain't gonna work. But it doesn't help that your team hasn't been good either. So I think that's a combination as well.
But that's also not a knock. None of this is a knock on Arizona. Like, what a gem of a building they've built for the Sun Devils. Like, that is going to be one of the premier college hockey facilities, especially, given where that team is located, anywhere. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
But it's not an NHL building, and for teams that, or players that, you know, feel like they're on a team with a losing that's less than National League, well, this is definitely not less than National League.
Yeah, no. Well, it'll be interesting. I'm sure the fans tonight, it'll be a sellout. Arizona hasn't had a sellout. We all understand that the sellout will be a lower capacity than usual, but it'll be a sellout. There is going to be limited edition $25 tickets for student, like a student section, right? There's going to be a little bit of a band, from what I understand, Frank. So it's definitely going to kind of mirror a little bit of the college atmosphere. But I'll tell you this: I've been in rinks. And I can go to junior A hockey games where there's 3,000 people, standing room only. And when you're in a sold out barn,
It's all about the energy.
yes, the energy is amazing. I think the atmosphere, I bet you the players will tell you, the atmosphere in Arizona this year is going to be infinitely better than any atmosphere they played in the last few years. Not even close.
That's exactly what I was getting at. Can this be cool? Yes. Is it still embarrassing? Yes.